Hi everyone. I'm in Hartford, Connecticut today. I'm going to pay a visit to a place that has been around since 2005, and I'm embarrassed to say that despite having spent most of my life here in Connecticut, I only very recently learned of its existence. It's a memorial, and the event that it memorializes is something that has a certain significance to me as far as a family tie to the event. I'm talking about the Hartford Circus fire of July 1944. On July 6, 1944, Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus set up here in Hartford. There was I think I saw between 6,000 and 8,000 people attending. And about 20 minutes into the performance, a fire broke out. There seems to be they're not really sure what caused the fire. Some witnesses say they saw someone throw a cigarette. Other people said arson. There was a person that confessed to starting the fire, but then later took back their confession, recanted. So they're not really sure what started it, but tents back then were canvas, and they were covered with paraffin wax in order to waterproof them. So they were extremely flammable. And so it only took apparently about 8 minutes before the entire thing burned and collapsed. At least 167 people were killed. Many more were injured. And as far as my family tie to the event, one of the few phone conversations I ever had with my father, he told me that he was here that day. He would have been 4 years old, and that he just remembers running, or trying, when everybody was trying to get out, trying to run down the bleachers and falling and getting his foot or his leg caught, and being trapped as people rushed past him, and somebody managed to lift him up and free his foot, and he escaped. So apparently there's a memorial here on the site that's been here since 2005. As I say, I had no idea it even existed until very recently. But now that I'm back in Connecticut, I thought that I'd come check it out. And I'm parked in the parking lot of a school. This is the address that I found online. Apparently the memorial is somewhere out in this field behind this school. So I'm parked in the parking lot, and I'm going to get out now and go see if I can find it, and then we'll see what we can see. All right. Well, here's the school, and then my intuition is telling me to walk this way. Oh yes, I think I see it over there, and there seems to be some people there. Okay, well, I found it. Back here behind this school. Seems to be a main sort of information about it. And then there are a series of stones here that detail the fire, and then they all lead over to where you see those people sitting. Apparently is where the center of the big top was. So we're gonna walk through here and check this out. So this raised central section here of the memorial is apparently exactly where the center ring of the big top was on the day of the fire. I'm not sure how they know that, but that's what it says. Now, according to this here, there are some dogwoods planted that will show the outline of how large the tent actually was. And I'm guessing that that tree, that small tree by that basketball hoop pole, I'm not sure where the one is for over there. There's several out in the field. I guess that would be the end of the tent there. Come back up into here where the center pole was, and then under that parking lot for that school would be where the other end of the tent was. It's kind of strange area for a memorial. I mean, generally when I think of going to a memorial, it's, I don't know what I expected, but it's in this random field behind a school where you'd never know it was here. And these three teenagers that were sitting here when I came up, I explained to them why I was here, and they just looked at me sort of blank-faced, as if I was from Mars. And one of them was sitting right on this monument here, and they seemed to have absolutely no idea what I was talking about. So it's interesting that, but again, like I said, I didn't know this was here either. So it's interesting. But it's right behind this school. And I parked over there, and here we are. And as you can see, get some orientation here. As you can see, way over there is where I started with the first stone. And then they kind of go along a little trail over here. And then they lead into this central part of where the tent was. But if you've seen any of the footage from that day of them setting up the tents and the animals and things like that, it was quite a large undertaking. And then there's footage of the fire, footage of people fleeing, and it's kind of crazy to sit here on a cold November day some 74 years later and wonder about what happened that day, the July heat, and then magnified by the heat of the fire, the smells, the sounds. It's kind of heavy to think about. It's strange to think of the chaos of that day and sit here, and it's chilly but very peaceful. I mean, I can hear the sounds, some crows, some birds, noises in the background of the city. Maybe it's the highway or some construction. Very different sounds, I guess, from 74 years ago. Certainly from when the fire actually started. Now the ring going around this bit here has names, and I'm guessing ages of the victims, the identifiable victims. There was a little girl who was famously unidentifiable until sometime in the 1990s, when they finally figured out who she was and moved her grave to be beside her brother, who had also died in the fire. And these bricks all have little messages. I'm guessing they probably did some sort of fundraising for this area, and people were allowed to have a brick with a message on it. They probably paid to have these here. Yield not to misfortunes. Dad, thanks for being too busy to go. Survivors, the Cliffords. Apparently there are a number of people still living as survivors, and there is a website dedicated. I think it was called HartfordCircusFire.com or HartfordCircusFire1944.com, and you can go on there and read testimonials from survivors. It's actually very interesting. Four Vinnings saved, praise God. A lot of them say survivors. It's interesting.